You know, one of the amazing things about the crazy makers in your life is how quickly they can flip you from being happy to angry. Have you noticed this? I mean, you could be going through a typical day and you actually are having a pretty good day. You're in a good mood, the birds are singing, the flowers are blooming, you feel great, and then this crazy maker walks into your life, and in about 1.2 seconds, all of a sudden, you're frustrated, mad, and upset. They can flip you so fast. They know how to push your buttons. So if we're gonna deal with healthy relationships, we gotta learn how to deal with anger, how it shows up, how to deal with it in our own lives, and how to diffuse it in the lives of others, particularly the crazy makers who push your buttons. Let me show you a few verses out of the book of Proverbs. Proverbs 25:28 says this: if you cannot control your anger, you are as helpless as a city without walls, open to attack. You are defenseless. People will manipulate your life. Do you realize that when you say, you make me so mad, you are admitting at that point those people are controlling your life. You are admitting that they are stronger than you, that you are weak. When you say, you make me, in other words, you have an ability to control my emotions. That's what you're admitting. You are defenseless. You are without a wall, open to attack. Proverbs 12 verse 16 says this: a fool is quick-tempered. Said, anytime I'm a hair-trigger temper, I'm a fool. I'm foolish. But a wise person stays calm when insulted. It's wise to just let it roll off your back. A wise person stays calm when insulted. Proverbs 16:32. It's better to be patient than powerful. It's better to have self-control than to conquer a city. In other words, it's more important to be in control of your own emotions than to be the President of the United States or an outstanding entrepreneur. Now, the Bible identifies 4 different ways that we express anger. And I want you to be aware of these, so I've given them some kind of modern day names. I want you to write these down if you're taking notes. The first category of way people express anger is what I call the machine guns. And the machine guns are people who they just let you have it. You know, they just mow you down. There's no doubt that they're mad. They're very expressive. They cuss, they yell, they throw things, they hit, they let it fly. These people are the exploders, the Mount Vesuvius. They're like the walking time bomb, and when you pull the hairpin trigger on the grenade, it goes off. This is very obvious. This kind is the most obvious. It just kind of it explodes all over you. The second kind of anger, besides the machine gun, is what I call the mutes. Now, the mutes are the exact opposite. They don't blow up, they clam up. And mutes don't get violent, they get silent. And they hold it in, and they live in denial, and they masquerade, and they pretend, and they always refuse to admit it when you're angry. I can see you're angry, honey. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. You're angry. I am not angry. Yeah, you are. It's real obvious. You're angry, but you're holding it in. Now, this is not the exploding kind of anger. This is what I call crockpot anger. It stews, and it simmers, and it's a slow burn. Okay? They don't just kind of spiritually vomit over you, but they burn, and it's a slow burn. And the mutes swallow their anger. Now, here's the problem. Every time you swallow your anger, your stomach keeps score. If you don't talk it out, you're going to take it out on your body. And so people who are the mutes, who hold in all of their anger, they get the high blood pressure, they get the chronic pain, they get the tension headaches, they get the ulcers, and all these other anger-related effects to our body. Now, the third kind of anger response, and many of you are this, is the martyrs. And the martyrs are pros at holding pity parties. And they announce a pity party and invite themselves to it. And martyrs are always passive, and they tend to punish themselves. And when a crazy maker comes into their life, they don't think my mom's crazy. They think, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? It must all be my fault. And if you walk around saying, I should, I must, I have to, I ought, and you're always shoulding yourself, then you're going to be a martyr, because you're going to blame yourself. Maybe you just got a crazy coworker, and it's not really you. It's just they're crazy, or a crazy relative, and they're a crazy maker, but you blame yourself. You are the martyr. Now, the number one sign that you have the martyr approach to anger is depression. Depression is caused by many different things, but one of the primary causes of depression is frozen anger. When you hold on to anger and you let it freeze in your life and you make yourself a martyr, you're going to get depressed. I know this from personal experience. Many of you don't know that when I was 21 years old, I was hospitalized for depression. And I had no idea why I was depressed. I'd only been married about 4 or 5 months. And I remember laying in the hospital, and they sent a psychiatrist in to see me. And I'm thinking, I don't need a psychiatrist. I'm a youth pastor. The psychiatrist looks at me and he says, so what are you angry about? I said, I'm not angry. He said, yeah, you are. I said, no, I'm depressed. He said, depression is frozen anger. What are you angry about? Well, what I was angry about was our marriage, because Kay and I started fighting from day one. We started fighting on the honeymoon. We just did not get along. Now, we've been married 38 years, 36 happy years. But the first 2 were hell on earth, okay? And we did not get along. And within about 6 months, we were both so disappointed in our marriage. Kate thought she was having a nervous breakdown, and I ended up in the hospital with depression. And I didn't know how to let it out. And I just thought, as a pastor, I can't express, a youth pastor, how angry I am at my new bride. And I was just swallowing it, and I was being the martyr. Now, the fourth kind of anger is what I call the manipulators. The manipulators. And the motto of the manipulators is, don't get mad, get even. And a lot of movies and a lot of TV shows are built on this category of anger. Now, manipulators will never tell you to your face they're angry with you. But they're going to do it subtly. They're going to do it slyly. They're going to do it sarcastically. They're indirect with jibes and cuts. And they do things to sabotage you, and they do things to make you look bad, but you never can catch them on it. And they never will flat out own up to the fact that they're seething with anger. And when they do say something to you that's hurtful or something mean, and you actually call them on it, they say, can't you take a joke? They're not joking. They're a crazy maker. That's a crazy maker. It is a manipulator that says, can't you take a joke? Now, all 4 of these ways, whether you are a machine gun, or you're a martyr, or you're a manipulator, or you're a mute, you learned how to get angry that way. And it's not very helpful. None of those ways are actually helpful at all, and you can unlearn them. Now, what I want to do today is spend most of our time on how do you disarm the person who uses these against you. How do you deal with the crazy makers who push your buttons? How do you deal with your own anger and not get angry back? And how do you deal with their anger at you when they won't come out and admit that they're angry? What do you do in disarming button pushers? Well, the Bible teaches us 4 or 5 really good practical things, and they're all in the book of Proverbs. Here they are. Number 1, the first thing the book of Proverbs teaches us, and it says it over and over and over again, is this: calculate the cost of anger. Before you allow yourself to get mad back, you calculate what you're going to lose. Calculate the cost of anger. You're less likely to get angry when somebody's pushing your buttons if you realize there's always a price tag to me getting angry back. And the Bible is very, very specific about uncontrolled anger. Let me show you some verses out of Proverbs. Proverbs 29:22. An angry person causes trouble, and a person with a quick temper sins a lot. You're going to get in trouble more often, and you're going to sin more often if you get angry. So don't do it. Proverbs 15:18. Hot tempers cause what? Arguments. You don't want to get in arguments. And when you get angry, what is first a one-way pushing buttons is going to become an argument. Proverbs 14:29. Anger causes mistakes. Proverbs 14:27. People with hot tempers do foolish things. So, if I get angry, here's the cost. I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to sin. I'm going to cause arguments. I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm going to do foolish things. Do I want to get angry when you're pushing my buttons? Absolutely not. It's foolish. I want you to write this down. I always lose when I lose my temper. Write that down. I always lose when I lose my temper. Now, you can lose your respect. You can lose the respect of others. You can lose the love of your family. You can lose your job by losing your temper. You can lose your health by stuffing it down. Now, you may be a parent, or you may be a coach of a Little League team, or you may be a supervisor at work, or you may have some way that you will be tempted to use anger to motivate people to do the right thing. Don't do it. Because in the short run, you may motivate people with anger. If you don't do this, I'm going to, and you make a threat. And in the short run, you may get, the short-term payoff. But in the long run, anger always produces more anger, more apathy, and more alienation. How many kids have become alienated from their dads or their moms because of anger out of control? How many people have been alienated from a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, a wife, or a friend because somebody lost their cool? Anger destroys relationships faster than anything else. So, when somebody starts pushing your buttons, and they're pushing your buttons, and they're pushing your button, before you retaliate, before you get angry back, you just realize, do I really want to do this? Do I want to make mistakes? Do I want to sin more? Do I want to act foolish? Do I want to lose? Do I want to cause arguments? Do I want to do foolish things? No, I don't. I don't. Proverbs 14:29 says this: those who control their anger have great understanding. Great understanding. Those with a hasty temper make mistakes. So number one is calculate the cost of anger. When somebody starts pushing my buttons, I remind myself, I do not want to get angry back. Number two, look past their words to their pain. Proverbs 19, verse 11. A man's wisdom gives him patience. It is to his glory, to his credit, to overlook an offense. See, you're wise if you don't listen to the words, but you look at the pain behind the words. A man's wisdom gives us patience. Now, I said this many times. Hurt people hurt people. When somebody's hurting you, it's because they've been hurt and they are still hurting. Unkind people are people who've never felt kindness. Unloving people are people who feel unloved. When somebody is rude, bitter, unkind, sarcastic, mean-spirited, arrogant, attacking, they are shouting with all of their behaviors, I need massive doses of love. I do not feel loved. I do not feel secure. Because secure, loved people don't act that way. They're not rude. They're not judgmental. They're not unkind. They're not attacking. The person who feels deeply loved and deeply secure is generous and gracious to other people. When somebody is mean and cranky, they are telegraphing in as loud terms as possible, I am in pain. And what they need is not what they deserve. Now, you have to decide, am I going to overcome evil with good, or am I going to just retaliate on their level? You see, when you attack somebody, it puts you below them. When you get even with somebody, it puts you on the same level. When you respond with love and kindness, it puts you above them, morally superior. Now, if you want to just get even with people, fine. You're no better than they are. That's when you get even, you are no better than the person who has attacked you. To be better than that person, you overcome evil with good. You respond with love. You look past their words to their pain. Now, the third thing you need to do, this is a big one, is think before reacting. You think before you speak, because anger control is largely a matter of mouth control. And you don't respond impulsively. You put your mind in gear before you put your mouth in gear. Proverbs 13:16, sensible people always think before they act. Proverbs 29:11, a fool gives full vent to his anger. He said, that's foolish. If I give full vent to my anger, it says, I'm just a fool. A fool gives full vent to his anger, but a wise person quietly holds it back. Now, if you reflect before reacting, if you think before speaking, then you can identify the root cause of the anger. Anger is always caused by one of three things. Always. Look past the anger and look at the root cause. It's always caused by one of these three things. Here they are. Number one is hurt. When somebody's pushing your buttons and they're angry, it may be they're hurt. And so when it's easier to deal with somebody's hurt. It's easier to be more sympathetic to hurt than it is to be sympathetic with anger. Anger wants to make you defensive. So when you're wounded, either emotionally or physically, you get angry. The second cause of anger is frustration. When you get frustrated, you get angry. When you're irritated, when you're forced to wait, the higher control person you are, the more prone you are to anger, because most of life is out of your control. If you're a low control person, you don't really deal with anger that much. High control equals high anger. The third cause of anger is fear. When we get afraid, when we feel threatened, when we feel attacked, we fight back. What people don't realize is that anger is contagious. You can catch it, so you have to slow it down. I don't know if you've noticed this, that when you get loud, others get loud. When others get loud, you get loud. Anger is contagious. And the problem here is that somebody's got to stop the loudness. Now, the Bible says this. Look on your outline, Proverbs 15:1. A gentle answer quiets anger, but a harsh one stirs it up. Have you ever noticed the louder you talk, the angrier you get? The quieter you talk, the more you calm down. Responding with equal force. When somebody starts pushing your buttons and they walk up to you at the office, or you walk in the door at home and somebody lets out something and you respond with equal force, it's only going to escalate. It's not going down. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. Proverbs 17:27 says this, a wise person uses few words. A person with understanding is even tempered. You know, as a person who speaks publicly all the time, I have noticed that I cannot put my foot in my mouth when it's closed. And neither can you. The average man speaks 25,000 words a day. The average woman speaks 30,000 words a day. That's why, guys, when you get home at night, your wife still has 5,000 more words. And she needs to use them up. I was talking to a guy one time, and I said, does it bother you that your girlfriend always gets the last word? He says, no, I'm grateful when she gets to it. Pastor Tom is going to come and teach the fourth key.
This is a tube of toothpaste. Quiz of the day. Here, all the venues, everywhere, regional campuses. If I squeeze this tube, what's going to come out? This is not that hard a question, you guys. Let's try it one more time. Squeeze this, what's going to come out? Toothpaste. When you squeeze your life, your heart, you know what comes out? Whatever's inside. Whatever's inside. So the problem I'm facing in my life with my anger, with my struggles, with lashing out at the people that I love the most, I can't blame them. I can't blame the circumstance, because the problem is inside. The heart of the problem is a problem of the heart. It's what's coming out of me. And so when I'm under tension, all of a sudden I start to attack everybody in my life. Pressure always reveals what's inside of you. None of us like to admit that. but it's the truth. We see these things coming out of our mouths and we say, I don't know where that came from. The truth is, it came from inside of me. It comes from your heart. So the key is to change your heart. The key is to change what's inside. If you've got a well and the well has bad water, fixing the pump isn't going to help what's in the well. That's the problem with a lot of self-help books. They tell you how to fix the pump, but they don't know how to tell you how to fix the water that's in the well. And unless you fix that, things aren't going to change. So what do? How do you make a difference? You let God's Spirit start to fill your life. The key is to be filled with God's Spirit. The Bible says in Galatians 5:22 that the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. That's the fruit of God's Spirit in our lives. I have found that when I'm filled with myself, when I'm filled with Tom, almost anything can upset me. In fact, I can make up things that will upset me when I'm filled with myself. But if I'm filled with God's Spirit, almost nothing will upset me because I'm filled with His love, His joy, His peace. Now, how do you get filled with God's Spirit? Don't make it too complicated. It just means you depend on God instead of depending on yourself. You pray that very simple two-word prayer, help me. And as you do that, you will find, as you ask God for help, that He will fill you with His Spirit.
Now, the most important key to dealing with anger, first in your own life and with those who push your buttons and try to make you angry, is the last point. And it's the most important one of all. If you're going to get control of your anger in your life, number 5, I must base my identity in Jesus. You got to change what you build your identity on. I need to start letting God be the center of my identity. Matthew 5:48. Grow up. You're kingdom subjects. Now live like it. Live out your God-created identity. Not the identity somebody else tried to give you. Live out your God-created identity. Live generously and graciously toward others the way God lives toward you. You see, the 3 things that cause anger, Jesus can heal. Hurt, frustration, and fear. Jesus can heal your hurting heart with His love. Jesus can replace your frustrated heart with His peace. Jesus can replace your insecure heart with His power. If you pick up a crying baby and you hold that baby close and it feels warm and it feels secure, it stops crying. It stops being angry. And when you feel secure and accepted in Jesus Christ, your anger is going to dissipate. Let's bow our heads. Father, it's sad but true, but we often get angry at the people we love the most, those we're closest to. And because we forget that you're the source of all that we need, not others, we get angry. Jesus, help us to remember that when we expect anybody else to meet needs that only you can meet, we're going to be disappointed. We're going to be let down. We're going to be angry. Father, I'm certain that there are many people here who are struggling with anger in one of these 4 forms we talked about. And they're angry because of hurt, or because of frustration, or because of insecurity. And you, Jesus, are the answer to all 3 of those things. Help them to experience hope and healing today. Now you pray. Dear God, just say this. I admit I have a problem with my anger. And I let other people push my buttons. And I get even and I retaliate and I fight back. And I don't think before speaking. I'm asking for your help. Help me to reflect before reacting. Help me to learn to release my anger appropriately. Help me to find my identity completely in you.